I'm really excited to be giving this testimonial, because things have just, the impact that it's made on how I approach things has been phenomenal. So before we go into it, if you're thinking about doing it, do it. You need to do it because it's so cool. So I contacted Tina pre-COVID, because I was exploring the Destiny coaching. I found the information online and spoke to Tina briefly, and then COVID happened and other things happened in my life that obviously I had to push things back. So this year I was able to pick up that baton again and go for it. So I've enrolled in the phase 1, and it's really helped me in my work, because I'm a qualified teacher. So I teach senior managers and project managers. So it's helped me in that aspect as well. It's helped me with coaching business people in my self-employed status when I'm working with businesses, not necessarily Christian, they're both non-Christian and Christian businesses. So I've coached a couple of businesses using the model, the Destiny model. So that's been really great. And it's very powerful, because I've done the Grow model, the secular approach to coaching, and this is just way above. I can't, it is just way above what Grow and the secular areas teach you, and it's so impactful, and the results that you get are phenomenal, even within a 20-minute session that you have with somebody. I've seen all the marketing materials and seen the videos, and I can assure you it does do what Tina and everybody else says it does, and you really have to experience it to understand what a difference it makes.
Wow, that sounds good. And Susie, you mentioned in that you you mentioned in the pre-chat you'd already done some coach training when you came to us, some secular coach training, and you learned Grow. So how would you explain the difference between what you're learning now with the Destiny coaching as to the sort of more secular Grow model?
From my experience, the Grow model doesn't allow the coach to be intuitive. For me, that's the biggest thing, because as a Christian, we have the Holy Spirit. So it allows us to use that more when you're coaching, both Christians and non-Christians. But I found obviously the Grow model doesn't teach you that, and it doesn't talk about using your intuition or your gut feeling, or however you want to use that. But for me, the Destiny model is where it's been really powerful for me, being able to utilize the giftings that God has given me within that. So for me, that's the biggest difference.
Okay, so, and that's what a lot of our students say, is it really moves them on to being able to kind of hear from God and operate with the Holy Spirit in their sessions. But what I was going to ask you is, a lot of people that see our website and, see it's very Christian, they think that it's a model just for Christians. So when you learn it, you can only coach Christians with it. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience?
So I've got 2 aspects. I do business coaching as well. So I'm coaching a lady in business at the moment, and she's not a Christian. And that works really well with that aspect. But a more recent experience that I've had with a friend of mine who is not a Christian but knows I'm a Christian. She unfortunately has mental health issues, and in particular agoraphobia. And at the beginning of the week on Monday, she phoned me at like 25 to 9 in the morning, and I start work at 9, so the time pressure was there. And she was really struggling because she had an interview at 3 o'clock that day, and she did not want to go. She was having panic attacks, and she was really in a bad place. So before this coaching, I would have empathized with her, which is not, level 1. Okay. Level 1 listening. So
this is what we talk about on our training, everybody.
I would have, come out in empathy and say, I'm really sorry to hear that, and sort of draw alongside her that way. But I didn't, and I just went straight into it. It's very natural. I went straight into coaching, explored all of her objections and what her goal was, what was her goal. And so I explored that, and we did some discovery, and we really just took it right down. And I thought, there was at some points I thought, she's not going to get this. Do you know what I mean? So it really challenged me to ask the right questions. And sort of within 15 minutes, she knew, she came to her own conclusion. She saw the light, I suppose, is what we would say in our world, but she realized what was holding her back. She understood the real reason for her panic attack. And she made a decision to go to the interview, and she went to the interview. And the main thing that she took away from that is her mindset was changed. And her approach to the interview was, well, I'm going to ask them these set of questions. And if I don't feel that the employer's right for me, then I can just walk away. So she went from felt that she was going to be on trial, because of her panic attacks, and then changing her mindset to saying, well, actually, they're the ones that have to prove that they're a good employer for me, and will be able to deal with my mental health issues.
Brilliant.
And afterwards, when I spoke to her, she was just beaming and she was just buzzing, and it was I was so thrilled to be able to facilitate somebody who's got mental health issues to achieve a simple thing like going for an interview. For me, it would be a simple thing, but for her was a huge challenge. And I wouldn't have been able to do that with the GROW model at all. I wouldn't have been able to explore in that depth. And I wouldn't have been, I'd have got stuck, because you use the acronym, don't you, GROW? What's your goal? What's your reality? And it seems to, for me, it seems to keep you in a box. And you can't sort of break out from that box. Whereas with Destiny Coaching, because you're using really powerful open questions, there is no box. And you just explore with that person and go with the flow and your intuition. And it was very, very powerful. And it was just, it just really blessed me that I could help somebody.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when you told me the story earlier, I love what you said. You said, and she rung you up, the pressure was on, like the interview's at 3:00, and you're like, I can't tell her what to do.
Yeah.
Although she asked you, didn't she? She said, oh, tell me what to do, do. And you went into Destiny coaching mode. And 15 minutes, that's incredible.
15. I know, that's how powerful it is. And when I stopped after the call, I just stopped to think about and reflect on what I'd done, and checking the questions, just doing some reflective practice on it. I was like, wow, 15 minutes.
And it got sorted.
and it was sorted.
Yeah. And what I love about that is that she's now empowered. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
She is empowered, and she's not going to probably have to pick up the phone. Well, she may, but she's learned a whole process of thinking and mindset change that's going to carry forward. But
yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Brilliant. Wow. So I don't really know what else to ask you, but is there anything else, like I know you're doing phase 1, and that's what's incredible about this, is that you're just started phase 1 and you're already seeing
the results.
Impact. So what would you say to people who are thinking about maybe doing this training? What would you like to say to them? I mean, you've already told them to do it right from the beginning. Is there anything else? Yeah,
I think that if you do the training, what I found with the open classes on a Tuesday night, when you're practicing with other trainee coaches, that is really powerful as well. Because if you have got goals or challenges in your own life, I've used those opportunities to set those with the coaches and that I'm training with, and they've used the opportunity to coach me, and it's brought revelation in my life of what I want to do, and it's clarified my passion tank. And it's opened that up for me. So when I was on the call the other night, the lady there explored the goal that I wanted to do, the 5-fold ministry within businesses. And, that was so powerful. Wow. So powerful. It really clarified a lot to me. So I think if you're thinking about whether this is right for you, you just have to go in and do it. Experience it for yourself, and go with the mindset that have some goals and challenges yourself that you can give to other people to work on with you, and then you will experience the power in your own life, and that will give you the strength and the confidence to know that those tools do work, so that when you coach somebody else, from your own experience that actually this has worked on me, so I know it's going to work on somebody else.
Yeah, it's really good. So it ends up being, it's funny because people come to us for coach training and they actually leave transformed themselves. Do you know
Yes.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
in lots of ways, mindset shifts, but also the relationship with God as well. As you go through the course, you get to learn to hear him and be closer to him in a more intimate way. So it's really like personal development for you as well as learning the skills, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And what do you think, what types of people do you think the skills would be useful for? Like what sort of people would getting the training skills be helpful for, do you think?
Um, Absolutely anybody that is involved. If you're in your secular job, if you're managing staff, dealing with customers,
Yeah.
no, even if you're not managing staff, dealing with customers and, all sorts of customers, but in particular, if you have an aggressive customer or somebody that's complaining, you can go into that coach mode and deal with their problems or complaints in a more proactive way. So it's not necessary for people that are in leadership. It's whatever you're in, but even people, families, mums and dads, you can coach your children.
Yeah.
They don't need to know they're being coached because your approach with them will change. Your mindset, your language will change with them. And especially if you've got children that are like difficult teens, as we call them, or at any stage, you can have a more grown-up conversation with them by using these powerful questions. And I think you'll find that your relationship might shift and change with them as well as your mindset and your thoughts about what your children are doing or going through. I think it gives you the tools to manage any difficult situations that you have in your own life, whether it's with children or other members of the family, but definitely at work, across the board, really. Anybody can do this, and it helps across the whole spectrum.
Brilliant. Yeah, I agree, definitely. So many different adaptations for it, isn't it? And uses for it in the way you approach relationships. Definitely. Fantastic. Well, Susie, thank you for your time and
You're
for
welcome.
sharing your breakthroughs and your experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks, Tina.